Hi everyone. Welcome to the Washington State Farm Bureau Annual Meeting. My name is Dwayne Faber, and I'm a dairy farmer in Burlington, Washington. There, I farm with my wife Rochelle and 3 daughters. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about that milestone of 100 years for the Farm Bureau. In 100 years, there's been a lot of change. There's been a lot of innovation in the dairy industry and in every agriculture industry. In the dairy industry in particular, in 1944, there were 25 million dairy cows in the U.S. Today, there are only 9.3 million, and those 9.3 million produce 59% more milk than those cows did in 1944. Just in the corn industry, we've seen growth of 25 bushels per acre, all the way up to 180 bushels per acre. And so I was curious, and I went out to social media and I asked my followers on social media, what do you feel like are some of the advancements that we've made in the last 100 years? And like anything, we got a varying amount of opinions. There were 300 responses. And in typical farmer fashion, it was 200 farmers with 300 opinions. And so I wrote down some of the ideas that these people had, and I wanted to highlight them. Some of the most prevalent ideas on the advancement of agriculture in the last 100 years was the science behind it. And the science behind agriculture, a lot of it stemmed from land-grant universities, where these universities would dig into the science behind chemicals and pesticides and seeds and trying different variations of each to come up with production that would increase substantially. For them, we owe an incredible debt of gratitude. Some of the other tools that have been available to us just more recently is the ability to offset risk as far as marketing our commodities, going out and using the futures markets, going out and using options. We would be remiss if we didn't talk about the access to cheap capital that the last several decades have offered as well. There was a bunch of comments that were fairly intelligent that I wanted to share with you too from some of the people that followed me. I wrote some of them down, and this is what I came up with. At No-Till Ninja said hydraulic power was the greatest advancement in agriculture in the last 100 years. Everything else mechanical is just a refinement of that power. At I Am Your Farmer said diesel power was the greatest advancement, followed by lights, which allowed people to work late into the night. This quickly delved into an argument about how much horsepower was needed and how many lights were needed. At Nebraska Pigs said the greatest advancement in agriculture was a repeater syringe. And he sounds like he's spent some time trying to vaccinate squealing wiener pigs with a 3cc plastic syringe. At Lisa MD pointed out that Borlaug's semi-mini dwarf wheat was credited with saving potentially billions of lives by developing a wheat that could be grown in arid regions such as Mexico, India, and Pakistan. Mexico before was not an exporter of wheat, and yet with this new variety, they became a massive exporter of wheat and were able to provide for themselves and people around the world. At Cami D. Ryan pointed to Haber-Bosch, who were German scientists that discovered a process to convert atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia. This increased the yields impressively. And in a rather darker twist was the same process used to create explosives for Germany back in World War II. Several other comments were talking about till versus no-till. The advancements in sustainability, in looking at soil now as a living organism, not just simply dirt, but as having a microbiome and having bugs and healthy bugs. As we delve into our past and where we've been, I think we would be remiss if we didn't look to the future and where we're going forward. The next 100 years are going to have some innovations like we've never seen before either. I think we would also be remiss if we didn't acknowledge that 100 years ago, there were 6 million people involved in agriculture and living on farms across rural America. Today, that number is 2 million. We who are involved in agriculture are the 2%. And so when you're the 2%, we need to be represented. We need groups and organizations that stand up for our industries, for who we are. There's a concept out there called the intransigent minority, and it is put forward by the mathematician Nassim Taleb. And Mr. Nassim Taleb went to a barbecue, and he asked his Jewish friends if they would like some lemonade. And then he quickly went back and said, "You may not want it because it may not be certified kosher." And his Jewish friends came and they said, "No, all lemonade is certified kosher." And Mr. Taleb went out and did some research, and sure enough, all of the lemonade that's being sold today is kosher. And so there's only 2 or 3% of the population that drinks or eats kosher food. But yet the corporations that are marketing to people change their entire product to be able to sell to this small minority, to be able to sell to this small group of people. I don't know if you know this, but Costco is the largest purveyor of organic food in the United States. Because Costco can go to their farmers and go and say, "Hey, we want the lowest price product possible, but we also want it organic." And some 40% of Americans say they eat organic food on a weekly basis. And so by having organic food that is priced appropriately, Costco now captures 100% of the market share. For those that are price sensitive, they don't care because whether it's organic or not. But for some that do care, they are excited to get organic food now priced appropriately. And so for us in the minority, for us to have an impact, for people to care about us in agriculture, we have to be vocal. We have to be going out and we have to be representing ourselves like the Farm Bureau does. In the political arena, we need to be representing ourselves to the public because the public in the next 100 years are going to require more transparency than they ever have before. And so we have to do good on our farms, but not only do good, but going forward, we need to go out and tell people that we are doing good. And so I would encourage you to continue to support the work that the Farm Bureau does. And thank you for everyone that's involved in the industry, in every facet of the industry. Thanks again for everybody for coming. Have a great day.